In the fishing world, there's a saying that 10% of the crews catch 90% of the fish. The reason why? These anglers do their homework. They take time prepping their gear. They're experienced, and they take advantage of every opportunity that comes their way.
So what are the ideal conditions, current-wise and wind direction?
North current is great, northeast wind. When it starts coming out of the north, the sails just go, man. They start tailing, they start biting, start getting good conditions, you know.
And it usually coincides with a front.
Yeah. So kind of before the front comes, we'll get a hard south wind, goes southwest. When the front's coming through, it goes hard west. And then from there, it goes northwest, and then to north, and then to northeast.
I'm glad we did this because I always thought, you know, I don't think people realize what goes into a good day when you're kite fishing. There's the bait, which you spend all your nights out there hunting for goggle eyes, and then herring or scar minnows or whatever's around. You're dealing with the weather, you need wind, or like a day like today, it was light winds, we had to do the balloons. There's the tackle, the boat, all these elements come together and all the gear, and it seems like a lot of work, but that's kind of part of the fun, right?
Yeah, kite fishing, if you like a lot of action and always doing something, there's always something to do, there's always action. Put the baits out. You learned today that the wind, especially with the gusty wind like we had today, you got to put it out a little bit more. One minute it's in the water, the next minute they're in the air, so you're constantly adjusting everything. And making moves and driving the boat and trying to do this, trying to do that, and you're trying to make everything work to come together to, you know, hopefully have a good outcome and catch fish. So,
you know, probably the coolest thing about the kites is the way the bait looks. I mean, it's up and down, but when he's just right, sort of kicking on the surface, I mean, it just looks perfect.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about kite fishing. I mean, the bait stays right on the surface. It sends out that vibe that, you know, a lot of fish, they hunt and they feel with their lateral line, so they feel that vibration. That bait's presented right on the surface is generally where you want it. You want it within the first foot or two of the surface, if not on the surface, just depending on what's going on.
And how you hook them? You were hooking them through the back or through the head?
Yeah, right in the neck. There's a little neck portion right behind the head, and they swim better for me. Some guys, if you're pulling a lot and you're going to be slow trolling a lot, like moving a lot, you want to hook them in the nose. But for what I do, I don't pull as much. Like today, did some drifting, a little bit of bumping around, so I like them neck hooked better. And we bridle them. If you're using J-hooks, some people like meat fishing and stuff like that for kingfish, you just hook them on there. Today we were bridling some baits.
With little rubber bands?
With little rubber bands and some needles.
Leader is out of the water, is that key?
Yeah, terminal tackle, that's why you can fish a little bit heavier sometimes. You can get away with it. To be honest with you, the sailfish don't really see that wire. Most of the terminal tackle's out of the water, so you're not really worried about them seeing it as much as you would think. Same thing, you don't have to fish fluorocarbon a lot of times if you want, because you think about it, your 15-foot a leader is mostly in the air, so it doesn't really matter. I'm a huge fan of fluorocarbon. I think it works. If it gets me 2 or 3 more bites at the end of the day, more than you would if not, then it was worth it to me.
We saw so much cool stuff, the rays in the morning, and then we got into that thing, and the kingfish bite just went off the charts. And so, I mean, to me, that's kind of part of the allure is you don't know what's going to happen, and there's obviously a lot of fish cruising the reef edge.
Absolutely. Everything out there eats a goggle eye, everything out there eats a pilchard, everything out there eats a threadfin herring.
Especially when it's skipping across the surface like
and
candy.
he's injured on top, and he doesn't have anywhere to go, and they see that thing, they can't say no. It's just in their genetic thing. They're like, oh, easy food, boom, done, go for it.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to present a bait, and it's fun because you are active. You
Absolutely.
know, trolling is fun in other ways, but it can get kind of tedious or quiet. And this, you're moving, you're doing something, it's up, down, adjusting.
Yeah. And the other thing I look at it aspect too, a lot of people are like, well, it costs a lot of money in gear. But I say, well, you're saving a lot of money in fuel too. Instead of sitting there trolling at 7-8 knots, you're sitting there drifting, or you're just bumping it out of gear with your motors.
And I mean, you've had days, no doubt, 15, 20 plus fish.
31 fish was my best day.
Wow. How big is the average goggle eye you're using? I don't know, 8 inches or
Yeah,
6 to 8 inches?
this time of year you'll catch a little bit smaller goggle eyes like down south, but sometimes you'll get them 8, 10 inches. I've seen goggle eyes that are almost 12 inches. I mean, monsters.
Is it bigger and better or not really? I mean,
Not necessarily. For sailfish, we prefer the smaller ones.
They can just kind of wolf them
Yep,
right
they'll
down.
go down and they don't take as much time. For the kingfish and stuff like that, when we're kingfishing, try to catch big ones with like big fat goggle eyes. As bigger the better. Tailing fish.
And you were
stuff like
using the
that.
smaller baits on the short line.
Correct. If we're only getting bites on small baits, scaled baits, then we'll
Switch it up.
We'll switch it up and try to fish a long goggle eye and then fish a short and a middle small scaled bait like a threadfin herring, a pilchard, a sardine, or anything like that. Change
Whatever
it up.
they want.
Whatever they
Keep
want.
them happy.
That's it. If you notice they're biting on one thing, stick with that.
For sure.
So-
Makes sense.
That's it.
If I want a steak, you better give me a steak,
That's
right?
it. Exactly. If you want a cheeseburger, get them a cheeseburger.
Cool.
So,
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
yep, my pleasure.
It was a great day.
Yes, sir.